Chosen one, this is not chaos, this is not rejection, this is not abandonment, this is a shift happening in silence. You may have noticed it slowly. Conversations feel different. Energy feels different. People who once felt close now feel distant. Not hostile, not dramatic, just quieter. And what makes it confusing is this: there was no big fight, no explosion, no betrayal. Just a gradual withdrawal, a subtle detachment, a soft pulling away. And part of you wonders, did I do something? Should I fix this? Is this my responsibility? But listen carefully. Not every separation is conflict. Some separations are divine edits. You are entering a season where God is no longer announcing removals. He is simply allowing alignment to reveal itself. And alignment does not argue. It separates naturally. This is why it feels so strange. Because you expected drama if something was ending. You expected confrontation if something was wrong. But when God removes someone, it often feels peaceful. Uncomfortable, yes, but peaceful. You are not being attacked. You are being repositioned. There is a difference. When something toxic leaves your life loudly, it confirms itself. But when something simply expires, it feels confusing. Because there is no villain, no clear narrative, just space. And space can feel empty before it feels intentional. But pay attention to what you are not feeling. You are not anxious the way you used to be. You are not chasing like you used to. You are not over-explaining. You are observing. And that observation is growth. In past seasons, you may have rushed to repair every emotional crack. You may have over-functioned in relationships. You may have tried to hold everything together. But now, you are still. And that stillness is not indifference, it is maturity. This is what spiritual evolution looks like. You are no longer fighting to keep what God is gently removing. You are noticing, and noticing is powerful. Because this shift did not begin externally. It began within you. Your standards changed. Your boundaries strengthened. Your energy refined. And when your internal world shifts, your external connections must recalibrate. Not everyone is meant to walk into your next level. Not because they are bad, but because they are not aligned. Alignment is not about morality. It is about trajectory. You are moving into a season that requires different energy, different stability, different capacity. And some people only knew how to relate to the version of you that was still healing. They connected to your struggle, to your accessibility, to your overgiving. But now you are grounded. Now you are discerning. Now you are not as available to chaos. And when you change, dynamics change. The silence you are experiencing is not punishment. It is adjustment. This is what happens when seasons close quietly. No announcement, no ceremony, just a slow release. And the hardest part, you still care. There is no hatred, no resentment, just an awareness that something is no longer flowing. That awareness is sacred. Do not override it. When God removes someone quietly, it is often protection from future misalignment. Not present disaster, future misalignment. There are conversations you will not have, conflicts you will not endure, betrayals you will not experience. Because separation happened early, before damage, before chaos, before collapse. This is mercy. It does not feel dramatic. It feels subtle, like a tide pulling back before a new current arrives. You might be tempted to reach out, to re-energize the connection, to spark what feels dim. But ask yourself something gently. Are you trying to revive something? Or are you uncomfortable with the silence? Because silence exposes attachment, and attachment often disguises itself as love. But love does not require forcing. Love flows. When something is aligned, it sustains itself without constant maintenance. When something is fading, you feel the urge to rescue it. And that urge is familiar to you. You have rescued before. You have fixed before. You have overextended before. But this time, you are being asked to watch, not interfere. Watch what leaves without chasing it. Watch who distances without pulling them back. Watch who stops showing up without you compensating. This is not passivity. This is trust. Trust that what is leaving was seasonal. Trust that what is meant for you does not require pursuit in panic. There is a divine intelligence in quiet removals. Because loud endings create emotional ties, but quiet endings create clarity. And clarity does not need confrontation. It needs acceptance. You are not being isolated. You are being refined. The circle is getting smaller, but the peace is getting deeper. And that is not coincidence. That is alignment restructuring your life. In the next section, we will go deeper into why God sometimes removes people without warning, and why explanation would only keep you attached. Stay steady. This is not loss, this is divine positioning. Chosen one. One of the hardest things to accept is this. Sometimes God removes people from your life without giving you closure. No final conversation, no dramatic ending, no clear explanation, just distance. And the human part of you struggles with that. Because the human heart wants understanding. It wants reasons. It wants language. It wants something it can hold. But divine separation does not always come with dialogue. Sometimes it comes with silence, and silence feels unfinished. You replay conversations. You search for hidden meanings. You wonder if you missed something. You ask yourself if you should reach out one more time. But here is what you must understand. Closure is not always a conversation. Sometimes closure is clarity. And clarity does not require participation from the other person. When God removes someone quietly, it is often because explanation would create attachment. If there were a dramatic argument, you would fight to repair it. If there were a clear betrayal, you would seek justice. If there were harsh words, you would try to defend yourself. But silence gives you nothing to react to. And that is intentional, because reaction keeps you tied. Silence forces surrender, and surrender is where growth lives. You are used to emotional intensity, used to fixing, used to resolving, used to making sure everything ends neatly. But spiritual elevation does not always end neatly. It ends cleanly. Clean and neat are not the same thing. Neat means wrapped with understanding. Clean means complete without residue. You may not understand why the shift happened, but you can feel that something is complete. That feeling is enough. There is a maturity in accepting what fades without explanation. Because sometimes explanation would reopen doors that need to close. If they told you why, you might try to negotiate it. If they express confusion, you might try to reassure them. If they said they were overwhelmed, you might offer to carry more. But in this season, you are not meant to carry more. You are meant to release. This is why the removal feels gentle instead of violent. God is not ripping them away. He is loosening the bond. He is reducing the attachment slowly so your nervous system can adjust. And that adjustment feels strange, because you are not grieving someone who hurt you. You are grieving someone who simply stopped aligning. That kind of grief is quiet. It has no villain, no dramatic ending, just a realization. We are no longer moving in the same direction. And direction matters more than history. You can love someone and still outgrow the dynamic. You can appreciate someone and still release them. You can honor what was without forcing what is no longer. Growth does not require conflict. Sometimes growth just requires space, and space reveals truth. Notice how you feel in this distance. Not the first few days, but now. There is a softness to it, a strange calm. You are not spiraling, you are observing. That is not detachment from emotion, that is regulation. You are no longer controlled by the fear of losing people, because you understand something now. What is meant for you cannot leave permanently, and what leaves permanently was not meant to stay. This is not fatalistic. It is alignment-based. God removes without warning when your heart is strong enough to survive it. If this had happened 2 years ago, you might have collapsed into self-blame. You might have chased. You might have begged for clarity. But now, you pause. You reflect. That reflection is evidence of evolution. Divine separation often comes when you are stepping into a new level of responsibility. And not everyone can accompany you there. Not because they are incapable, but because they are assigned to a different season. There are people who are meant to meet you in your becoming. And there are people who are meant to walk with you once you have become. Confusing those two creates suffering. The ones who met you in becoming helped you grow. But they are not always meant to witness the harvest. That is not rejection. That is assignment. Some connections are seasonal by design, and when their purpose is fulfilled, they fade naturally. You don't need to force gratitude. You don't need to force detachment. You simply need to allow the truth. This season has shifted, and here is the deeper layer most people avoid. Sometimes God removes someone because their presence would interfere with what is coming. Not because they are harmful, but because they would anchor you to a version of yourself you are outgrowing. There are dynamics that feel comfortable but limit expansion. Familiar but restrictive. Supportive but subtly dependent. And when you are being elevated, dependency must be reduced. You are being strengthened. Stability is being built within you, and certain connections only function when you are slightly unstable, slightly unsure, slightly in need. But now you are grounded, and grounded energy changes relational chemistry. This is why it feels quiet instead of explosive, because nothing wrong happened. Alignment simply shifted. Think of it like two paths that once ran parallel. At first, they moved in the same direction, but gradually the angles changed. Now they diverge. No betrayal, no fight. Just different trajectories. Trying to force parallel movement again would require one of you to bend unnaturally. And bending against growth creates resentment. So instead, the separation happens softly. Without accusation, without blame, without noise. This is mercy. It protects both of you from future conflict. It prevents unnecessary pain. It honors what was without damaging what will be. You are not meant to fix this. You are meant to witness it. And witnessing requires humility. It requires releasing the need to understand every detail. It requires trusting that if something was meant to stay, it would remain steady. Steady connections do not fade without reason, and if the reason is unclear to you, That does not mean it does not exist. Sometimes God sees incompatibility before you do. Sometimes he sees future crossroads that would fracture you later. So he separates early, before attachment deepens further, before plans entangle, before expectations solidify. This is protection disguised as confusion. And confusion only lasts until acceptance settles in. Once you stop asking, why, peace grows. Because the question, why, keeps you in resistance. Acceptance moves you forward. You may never receive the explanation you desire, but you will receive clarity through time. And that clarity will not come through conversation. It will come through contrast, through meeting people who feel different, through opportunities that align more smoothly, through realizing how much lighter your spirit feels. And one day you will look back and understand. Not emotionally, but spiritually. You will see the wisdom in the silence. You will see the grace in the distance. You will see the protection in the removal. But for now you are in the middle. And the middle feels uncertain. Stay steady. Do not chase what is quietly exiting. Do not reopen what is gently closing. Do not interfere with what God is dismantling softly. Because in the next section, we will explore why chasing what is leaving can delay what is arriving, and why interference is sometimes the only thing standing between you and elevation. Stay calm. This separation is not punishment. It is preparation. Chosen one. This is the part where restraint becomes spiritual discipline. Because it is one thing to recognize that something is fading. It is another thing entirely to let it fade. Your instinct may still whisper, just check in, just make sure everything's okay, just clarify, just try one more time. It sounds harmless, it sounds mature, it sounds responsible. But sometimes that urge is not wisdom. Sometimes it is attachment asking for reassurance. And reassurance is not always what your spirit needs. You are in a season where silence is doing sacred work. Do not interrupt it. When God is removing someone quietly, he is recalibrating energy. He is loosening cords. He is untangling futures that would have crossed in misalignment. And if you rush in to revive what is dissolving, you slow the separation. Not because you are wrong, but because you are early in letting go. There is a profound difference between reconciliation and resistance. Reconciliation is mutual, stable, and clear. Resistance is one-sided, anxious, and urgent. If you are the only one trying to sustain the connection, that is information. If you are the only one initiating depth, that is information. If you are the only one feeling the shift and trying to repair it, that is information. Silence is communication. Distance is communication. Energy withdrawal is communication. Not everything needs to be verbalized to be understood. You feel the difference. And the moment you feel yourself wanting to overcompensate, pause. Ask yourself gently, am I responding to love or reacting to loss? Because loss triggers control, and control feels like action. But control does not create alignment. It delays acceptance. There is a sacred dignity in letting something leave without chasing it. It says, I honor what was. I respect what is. I trust what will be. That trust is not passive. It is powerful. You are not refusing connection. You are refusing to force it. And forced connection always fractures later. Let's speak honestly. You have chased before. You have tried to hold on to fading energy. You have convinced yourself that effort could compensate for imbalance. And maybe sometimes it worked temporarily. But eventually, imbalance resurfaces, because alignment cannot be manufactured. It either flows or it doesn't. This season is teaching you the strength of stillness. Stillness does not mean you do not care. It means you care about your peace more than your pride. It means you are no longer willing to beg for consistency. It means you understand that what is secure does not require persuasion. If someone is meant to remain in your life, they will lean in when distance appears. They will clarify. They will stabilize. They will meet you. If instead the space widens naturally, let it widen. Do not panic at widening space. Space is where redirection enters. When you chase what is retreating, you communicate fear. When you stand still, you communicate trust. And trust invites alignment faster than pursuit ever will. Here is the subtle truth. If something is meant to return, it will return without you forcing it. But if you interfere, you complicate the lesson. Sometimes separation is not permanent, but your reaction determines its outcome. Chasing can create ego conflict. Silence can create clarity. Let God handle what is leaving. You focus on becoming steady. There is something refining about restraint. It sharpens discernment. It builds emotional strength. It teaches you that discomfort does not require immediate resolution. You are not meant to fix everything that shifts. Some shifts are sacred. You may feel moments of loneliness in this process, not because you are alone, but because you are adjusting to new space. And space feels unfamiliar at first. You are used to noise, to constant contact, to relational activity. Now there is stillness, and stillness reveals attachment. It reveals how much of your identity was tied to maintaining connection. But you are more than a maintainer. You are becoming anchored within yourself. That anchoring requires less external validation, less reassurance, less explanation. And here is something deeper. When you stop chasing, you discover who values you without pursuit. You discover who reaches out naturally, who maintains consistency without prompting, who chooses you without pressure. That revelation is priceless, because love that requires chasing is not stable love. It is conditional presence. You deserve presence that is voluntary, not negotiated. When you allow separation to unfold without interference, you align yourself with divine timing. Divine timing does not operate through panic. It operates through precision. What is leaving now may not feel dramatic, but it is strategic. You are being repositioned for connections that match your next level. And next level connections require next level boundaries. Boundaries are not ultimatums. They are internal decisions. You do not need to announce them. You embody them. And one of those boundaries is this: I will not chase what is quietly exiting. That boundary protects your dignity. It protects your energy. It protects your future. Because chasing often leads to compromise. And compromise at the edge of elevation delays growth. There is a spiritual principle here. When you release what is misaligned, you accelerate alignment. When you cling, you stagnate. Not because you are punished, but because your focus remains behind you instead of ahead. You cannot fully receive what is coming if your hands are reaching backward. Let them fall naturally. Do not tighten your grip. There is grace in surrender. Not dramatic surrender, not emotional collapse, but steady surrender. The kind that says, I trust that if this is meant to stay, it will stabilize. That trust shifts your energy. You stop vibrating in fear of abandonment. You begin vibrating in confidence of alignment, and alignment responds. The quiet separation you are experiencing is not a test of worth. It is a refinement of direction. You are being redirected toward stability, toward reciprocity, toward maturity. And maturity does not chase, it discerns. You are not losing people, you are losing misalignment. And misalignment always feels heavier than it appears. Once it leaves, you realize how much energy it required to maintain. In the next section, we will explore the peace that begins to settle after you stop interfering, and why that peace is not emptiness, but confirmation. For now, remain steady. Let the silence speak. Let the distance clarify. Let what is leaving leave. You are not being abandoned. You are being elevated. Chosen one. Now we arrive at something subtle, something you may not have expected. After the confusion, after the urge to reach out, after the discipline of not chasing, there is a quiet peace beginning to settle. Not excitement, not celebration, just peace. And this is where many people misunderstand the process, because they expect separation to feel dramatic. They expect grief to be loud. They expect loss to shake them. But when a divine separation is aligned, it does not shatter you. It steadies you. At first, you may have felt uncertainty, maybe a slight ache, maybe a hollow space where conversation used to be. But now, you are breathing easier. You are sleeping without replaying scenarios. You are not checking your phone the way you used to. You are not crafting imaginary conversations in your head. There is less mental noise, less emotional turbulence. That calm is not indifference. It is confirmation. Peace is the language of alignment. Chaos is the language of resistance. And notice something carefully. The more you stopped interfering, the more stable you felt. That is not coincidence. That is clarity settling in. When something is meant to remain in your life, its presence brings consistency. When something is meant to leave, forcing it brings anxiety. The fact that peace is growing where panic once lived tells you everything. You are not suppressing emotion. You are integrating truth. There is a difference. Suppression feels tight. Integration feels open. And right now, even if you cannot explain everything, you feel open. There is space inside you, not emptiness. Space. Space to think clearly. Space to feel without spiraling. Space to observe without reacting. That space is sacred, because peace is not something you create. It is something you uncover when resistance dissolves. The moment you stopped chasing, peace had room to enter. The moment you stopped forcing, stability returned. That is your confirmation. Divine separation does not leave you restless. It leaves you reflective. It does not leave you bitter. It leaves you wiser. You are not angry at them. You are not angry at yourself. You simply understand that something shifted. And understanding without resentment is maturity. This peace might feel unfamiliar, because you are used to intensity, used to emotional highs and lows, used to passionate reconnections and dramatic closings. But this time, there is no storm, just still water. And still water reflects truth clearly. In this stillness, you are beginning to see things you did not see before. Patterns, imbalances, moments where you overextended, moments where you minimized your needs, moments where you carried emotional weight quietly. You are not judging the past. You are understanding it. That understanding brings compassion, not regret. You are realizing that the connection served its purpose. It helped you grow. It taught you discernment. It strengthened your boundaries. But its season has ended, and instead of collapse, you feel completion. Completion does not scream, it exhales. And that exhale is what you are feeling now. A slow release of tension you did not know you were holding. You might notice your energy feels lighter. You are not anticipating disappointment. You are not preparing for emotional shifts. You are not bracing yourself. You are steady. That steadiness is a gift. It means you trusted the process. It means you allowed separation without sabotaging it. It means you respected what God was quietly dismantling. And now, because you did not interfere, peace can root itself deeper. There is something powerful about accepting what leaves without demanding explanation. It builds inner authority. You are no longer seeking external validation for internal clarity. You feel the shift, and that is enough. You sense the closure, and that is enough. You do not need a speech. You do not need a final conversation. Because the absence of chaos is your confirmation. Let this settle into you. If it were wrong, you would feel turmoil. If it were misaligned, you would feel agitation. If you had forced something against divine timing, you would feel heaviness. But instead, you feel calm. That calm is not numbness. It is alignment. And alignment often feels boring to the ego, because the ego thrives on intensity. But the spirit thrives on peace. You are moving from ego-based attachment into spirit-based stability. That transition feels quiet, and in quiet, growth solidifies. There is another layer here. Peace creates capacity. When you are not entangled in emotional turbulence, you can see new opportunities clearly. New connections, new directions, new ideas. You are no longer distracted by maintaining something that was fading. Your energy is returning to you. That return feels like strength, and strength feels like calm confidence. You are not rushing to replace what left. You are not scanning for substitutes. You are simply present. That presence is powerful. Because when you are at peace with what has exited, you become magnetic to what aligns. Desperation repels. Peace attracts. And right now, you are becoming deeply attractive to stability. Not because you are trying, but because you are settled. There is dignity in the way you handled this. You did not beg. You did not manipulate. You did not force clarity. You allowed truth to reveal itself. That self-control reshaped you. It taught you that you can survive distance. You can survive silence. You can survive change without collapsing into fear. That knowledge strengthens your identity. You are no longer defined by who stays. You are defined by who you are becoming. And who you are becoming is steady, secure, rooted, peaceful. This peace is not temporary. It is foundational. It is the foundation for what is next. Because what comes next will require stability. It will require maturity. It will require discernment. And you are ready. Not because you fought for it, but because you surrendered into it. Peace is the sign that you are aligned with divine timing. It is the quiet confirmation that this separation was necessary. You do not feel fractured. You feel refined. And refinement is not loss. It is preparation. In the next and final section, we will step into what comes after this peace, the divine replacement, the new alignment, the elevation that arrives without noise. For now, breathe into this calm. Let it settle deeper. You are not missing anything. You are not behind. You are not abandoned. You are aligned. And peace is proof. Chosen one. Now that peace has settled, something else begins. Not loudly, not dramatically, but steadily. When God removes, He does not leave a vacuum. He creates capacity, and capacity is always filled. But here is the part most people misunderstand. Divine replacement does not feel like replacement. It feels natural. It does not rush in to distract you from what left. It arrives when you are no longer looking backward, because what is truly aligned with you does not compete with your past. It meets your present. You may notice subtle shifts first. New conversations that feel easy. New opportunities that flow without resistance. New ideas forming in your mind. New clarity about your direction. Nothing explosive, just alignment. Divine replacement is rarely dramatic. It is precise. The difference between what left and what is arriving will not be intensity. It will be stability. You will not feel anxious wondering where you stand. You will not feel the need to decode behavior. You will not feel the urge to give to secure presence. Instead, you will feel safe. And safety is a higher frequency than excitement. You are being transitioned from emotional highs into spiritual steadiness. That transition changes what attracts you. You are no longer drawn to what stimulates your wounds. You are drawn to what nourishes your peace. And that is growth. Sometimes divine replacement is a person. Sometimes it is purpose. Sometimes it is opportunity. Sometimes it is solitude that sharpens vision. But whatever form it takes, it fits. It does not strain. It does not confuse. It does not destabilize. It supports. That support might feel unfamiliar at first, because you are used to earning connection, used to proving value, used to negotiating presence. But what is coming does not require negotiation. It recognizes you. It meets you at the level you have become. And because you did not chase what left, you are ready to receive what stays. There is something sacred about timing. If what is arriving had come while you were still entangled in the old dynamic, you might not have recognized it. You might have compared it, sabotaged it, distrusted it. But now, you are clear enough to see consistency, clear enough to appreciate calm, clear enough to choose stability over intensity. Divine replacement often feels almost quiet. So quiet you might miss it if you are expecting fireworks. But remember this: fireworks fade quickly, foundations last. What is being built now is foundational. It may not overwhelm you emotionally. It may not create adrenaline, but it will create peace. And peace is confirmation. When something aligns with your destiny, your nervous system relaxes. Your mind quiets. Your heart opens slowly instead of urgently. There is no pressure, no countdown, no fear of loss, just steady presence. That is the sign. You will notice that conversations feel reciprocal, effort feels balanced, time feels natural. You are not strategizing your value. You are simply being yourself. And that is enough. Divine replacement does not make you perform. It makes you rest. Rest in who you are. Rest in what you offer. Rest in the knowledge that you do not need to convince anyone of your worth. And this new stability may not just show up relationally. It may show up professionally, creatively, spiritually. Doors that were once closed may open smoothly. Ideas that once felt blocked may flow easily, because your energy is no longer divided. When you stopped chasing what was leaving, you reclaimed power. Now that power fuels creation. This is how elevation feels. Not like a dramatic leap, but like a steady ascent. You may look back at what left and feel gratitude instead of pain. Gratitude for the lessons. Gratitude for the timing. Gratitude for the growth it forced within you. And you will realize something profound. If it had not left, you would not have evolved. If you had forced it to stay, you would not be here. You would still be negotiating, still be explaining, still be carrying emotional weight. Instead, you are lighter, more centered, more discerning. And that discernment will protect your future. The new connections entering your life will not need dramatic declarations. They will reveal themselves through consistency, through reliability, through peace. And peace will become your standard. You will no longer confuse chaos with passion. You will no longer mistake unpredictability for depth. You will choose calm strength over emotional turbulence. That choice changes everything. Divine replacement is not about someone better. It is about someone aligned. Not louder, not more impressive, just aligned. Alignment does not shout, it settles. You may notice that you are no longer afraid of losing people, because you understand that what aligns will remain, and what does not will exit without destroying you. That understanding makes you powerful. There is no bitterness in this power, no pride, just quiet confidence, the kind that does not need validation, the kind that does not seek attention, the kind that simply knows. This is the shift. You are no longer operating from fear of abandonment. You are operating from faith in alignment. And faith is calm. Faith does not chase. Faith receives. Faith waits without anxiety. Faith trusts without forcing. That is who you are becoming. You might not even recognize yourself fully yet, but others will. They will feel the difference in your energy, the steadiness, the grounded presence, the quiet strength. And what matches that frequency will draw closer. What does not will fall away naturally. You will not need to manage it, because once you elevate internally, external alignment follows. This is not the end of your story. It is the stabilization of it. No more dramatic cycles. No more exhausting pursuits. No more confusing attachments. Just clarity. Just peace. Just steady growth. And as you sit here now, breathing in this calm, notice something. You are not anxious. You are not desperate. You are not questioning your worth. You are simply here, centered, present, ready. That readiness is the final confirmation. God does not remove without replacing. He prunes so growth can deepen. He separates so alignment can strengthen. He quiets so you can hear direction clearly. And now you hear it. Not through noise, not through urgency, but through peace. Stay here. Do not rush what is forming. Do not chase what is not. Let alignment continue unfolding. Because what is meant for you is not trying to escape you. It is moving toward you, quietly, steadily, surely, and this time, you will recognize it, not by intensity, but by peace. Let that peace remain. Let it anchor you. Let it confirm everything you needed to know. You were not being rejected. You were being redirected. And what is arriving now is meant to stay.